A friend of mine once compared shipping the imaginary couples in Thai BL and GL to being a fan of pro wrestling. Everyone knows it's staged to a degree, but to point it out is almost a faux pas because you're ruining the fun of pretending it's real. Shipping is, after all, meant to be a game. Here, this is Boon and this is Prem, two Thai actors known as the imaginary couple Boon Prem. They formally met at an audition for the Thai BL series Until We Meet Again in 2019, and their chemistry, both on-screen and off, was so charming that they decided to continue working together in future projects as a couple on-screen, while flirting off-screen as an imaginary couple to build a fan base that would support them in fan meetings, concerts, and when sponsors hired them to promote and sell their products. An imaginary couple is exactly what it says on the tin. A couple that fans are collectively imagining are actually together. The actor's job is not to be a real couple, but to play into the appearance of one. That isn't to say that every imaginary couple is pretending, but most of them are, and the few who are dating will rarely say so publicly. But we'll get into that later. Unsurprisingly, opposite-gender imaginary couples were once the norm, with same-gender imaginary couples gaining in popularity in the 2010s. Kit has described Thai society at that time as having one leg in acceptance and one leg in intolerance for queer people. So in their early years, Chris Cincto faced a great deal of homophobia from the media and general public, plus invasive behavior and harassment from fans who shipped them. Over the pandemic, a massive influx of foreign fans watching free series available on YouTube pushed major companies like GMMTV to invest more and more money into BL series and their same-gender imaginary couples. When I arrived to this fandom in 2020, an older fan told me, "Don't expect much from the series themselves. They're just vehicles to launch the actors." That's a video for another time, but I mention it because, truthfully, I don't think that's changed. The bulk of the money in this industry comes not from the series, but from concerts, fan meetings, top spender events, and more. A lot of actors in this industry come from wealthy families, especially nowadays. Some have full-time jobs outside acting. Those with the most success are constantly hustling and promoting their imaginary couple brand. And with the sheer scale of Thai BL and GL these days, there's a lot of competition. On the international fan side, I know that RPS, or real person shipping, is considered controversial in some fandom cultures. While places like the Philippines have had love team culture for decades, in the US, where I grew up, shipping real people is commonly seen as invasive and disrespectful, probably partly thanks to tabloid culture. It's widely agreed that if you do take part in RPS, you're meant to keep it behind a fourth wall, and absolutely under no circumstances are you to bother the people you're shipping with it. Don't show your fan art, your fan fiction, don't ask them invasive questions about their personal lives, etc. Keep the shipping within the walls of fandom as much as anyone can, while those walls are crumbling under the wear and tear of social media. We did have a cultural framework for shipping real people once, though, at least in the golden age of Hollywood, where two actors were paired together in a much smaller studio system. They would star as a couple in multiple films for individual studios before conglomerates took over. Studios had a strong financial incentive to create audience loyalty to these couples over years of films. For example, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers had 10 between 1933 and 1949, Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy had 9 between 1942 and 1967, and William Powell and Myrna Loy had 13 between 1934 and 1947. Some on-screen pairs of this era did have off-screen romances with each other, and others were just friends. Some had very messy off-screen romances. But what they all had in common is that making the public believe in the possibility of real love behind the camera was extremely lucrative for them. Chemistry in their films was important, but off-screen romance kept people hooked in the time in between. Possibility is exciting, after all, and the mystery of not knowing for sure keeps people hooked in the long term. Actors in Thai GL and BL are either contracted to keep secret or discouraged from disclosing their personal romantic relationships to the public. This is consistent with idol culture in Japan and Korea, in which idols are selling the illusion of romantic availability to their fans. In Thai BL and GL, they're selling a different illusion of being exclusive with each other. And with the increase in competition these days, a lot of imaginary couples are upping the ante on appearing real. Companies these days consider imaginary couples as brands with marketable appeal, so the images of newer couples are more controlled and calculated to appeal to as wide and lucrative an audience as possible. Oftentimes, this means catering to a heteronormative lens, likely borrowing from the traditional Japanese uke, seme, BL tropes. In all likelihood, most of these couples are platonic. However, the human brain is a squishy miracle, but a common thing that happens with actors is that when acting as an on-screen or on-stage couple, it can sometimes equate one's character with oneself. Actors in leading roles end up dating all the time. It happens with opposite-gender actors, and it happens with same-gender actors. Sometimes it lasts, sometimes it's temporary, sometimes it's just a misunderstanding. Years ago, Book pranked Mike Chinarat by telling him he was in love with his imaginary couple partner Force. And the first thing Mike sincerely asked him was whether or not Book's feelings came from lingering character emotions.
กับฟอสเหรอไม่ได้กับฟอสดิกับฟอสหรือกับตัวละคร
กับฟอสอะพี่ไม้มันเหมือนรู้สึกจริงๆอะพี่ไม้กับฟอสอะพี่ไม้
ไม่ถึงตัวมึงเองเหรอ
So in essence, shipping imaginary couples is encouraged and endorsed by the actors themselves as well as their companies who profit from the fans' enjoyment of the illusion they're creating. However, while some imaginary couples may date each other off-screen, it's extremely unlikely that they'll ever share that information because it ruins the mystery that keeps people guessing and coming back for more hints or moments to scrutinize. So it's important for fans to keep a baseline understanding that this is meant to be done for fun and not to take it too seriously. At the end of the day, these are still people who need some element of privacy. Some are dating people inside the industry, some outside the industry, and some aren't dating at all. But if you were in their shoes, you'd want some privacy too. In fact, I think the more you believe your imaginary couple are sincerely dating, the more you should encourage other fans to help protect their privacy. We can enjoy what they themselves choose to share, but there's always a line to respect, and they may stay here longer the safer they feel with their fans.